Welcome to the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and today is the 16th of November and it's episode 28. So I'm here to chat about all my crafty things that I've been up to the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to talk about some knit-alongs first, then I've got some knitting, some sewing, some bobbin lace, some blast from the past as usual, the Gadget, so might be a few confessions from Nottingham Yarn Expo. Went not wanted to buy any yarn. Oh dear. I've got a few questions for the Ask Me Anything thread. We're almost caught up on that. I think I've got 2 extra questions as well. So if you have any questions, pop it in the Ravelry thread, Craft House Magic. Then I'm going to have a bit of a chatter about my visit to Nottingham Yarn Expo. The shop update will show a few of the bags that I'm going to put in my shop and an interesting new project bag that I have that's slightly Christmas themed if you're interested in seeing that I'm really chuffed about. And then I'll pop some video footage of Nottingham Yarn Expo at the end if you're interested. So first thing I'm going to talk about is knit-alongs. So the one we've got running at the moment is the Happy Along, and it's just to encourage people to get their Christmas knitting started, to make other people happy and to knit things to make them happy too. So anything goes really. It's lovely just to see lots of ideas of different projects. So we've got loads of things going into the finished objects thread. I'm going to be drawing prizes at the end of each month and this will finish at the end of December. So if you want to go and get some ideas of things to knit, it's a great place to get some lovely bits of inspiration from. So I also wanted to mention that I'd drawn for the Needle Minder on the last episode and the winner was Rachel Birch, but she hasn't got into contact with me. And because it was through the YouTube thread, I don't know how to contact you directly. So if you're Rachel Birch, please give me a message either on, you can do it through the website, through Instagram, through Ravelry, personal message with your address so I can get that prize sent out to you. If you don't get into contact by 30th November, which will be the date I'm doing the next podcast, I'll draw again for another winner from the drop down bar from the last episode. That's episode 27. Okay. So you may still have a chance to win the needle minder that I showed, the Christmas themed one. So we've got an exciting new knit along. So me and Ruth from Knitterarium have been chatting about what we can do as a knit along together, and she's got this lovely new pattern, a sock pattern, and it's called the Sugar Plum Socks. And they're a Christmassy themed pair of socks that will be released on the 24th of November. So we thought we'd do a knit along together. I'll do the chatter thread in my Ravelry group and there'll be a finished objects thread in Ruth's Ravelry group. So what you need to do is make sure that you're a member of both group for prizes at the end. So the rules are, there's no works in progress, so you have to start a pair of socks from scratch. They can either be the Sugar Plum pattern that Ruth is releasing on the 24th, or it can be any festive sock adult pattern. So, but if you do Ruth's pattern of the Sugar Plum socks, you get 2 entries to win a prize. So, as I said, there'll be a chatter thread in my Ravelry group, and Ruth's Ravelry group, there'll be an FO thread. So you need to be a member of both Ravelry groups to be able to win a prize. The prizes will be, Ruth's got 2 patterns she's going to give away. She's got a lovely pattern range, so that's a lovely prize for 2 people. And I'm going to give a Christmas bag away as a 3rd prize. So I think that's everything. Hopefully I haven't missed anything out. So the knit along is going to be running from the 24th of November to the 24th of December. So you should have a pair of socks to wear on Christmas Day. Now we're on to the good stuff. Sorry about all the rambling, but we need to get the information out to everybody. So first of all, I'm going to talk about knitting. So I've got one finished object this week, and these are some shorty socks. So these are knitted from some of my hand-dyed yarn in a high twist base that I was testing out so that I could start selling some of my hand-dyed yarns, but I want to test them out to make sure I really like the base before I ever sold it to anybody. So this is like a pink speckledy yarn that I did, which I haven't named yet. I don't know if I'll end up selling this particular one, but I'm really pleased with how those little micro speckles have come out on there. I don't think it's coming out quite as pink on the camera as it is in real life. I'm quite pleased with how that came out. I used 2.5mm needles, and I did a 64 stitch sock, just did a rib, and then I used the same heel as I did on my toe up sock tutorial part 2. I just knitted till I'd got it 2 inches less than the length of my foot, and then I just did a normal wedge toe that I do. So I'm really looking forward to wearing these. I did them shorty socks because I only had 50 grams left, but I had 15 grams left after that, so actually I could have made them a bit longer. What I should have done is knitted them toe up. I just got a little bit too excited, wanted to cast on my hand-dyed yarn and to try out this base. I've got 15 grams left, so I can put some in my Cozy Memories blanket. So I'm going on to my whips now. So I showed you this sock that I'd knitted for my dad in the last episode, and this is out of ice yarns, and I've just used a sort of pattern I've made up. I've used 72 stitches and a 2x2 rib. I've done a slip stitch heel, and then I've decreased back down to 72 stitches again and just a standard wedge toe. And this is the ice yarns. I've just said that already. I'm repeating myself. And I've nearly got the second sock finished. I've literally got to the stage where I'm just about to do the toe decreases. Toe creases. And they match, so that's lovely. It's really nice when they match. I don't mind it when they don't match, but it's just such a pleasure when they actually match. I said in the last episode, this is a very sort of rustic feeling yarn. I don't think it's my favourite to actually knit with, but they are super durable, so that'll be good for Dad because they'll last ages then. So this is going to be his Christmas present. I hope he isn't watching the podcast. I'll have to get Mum to stop him watching the first bit. I'm drinking strawberry and raspberry tea out of my huge Marauders map mug. This is actually Adam's mug, but I've nicked it. So my second work in progress is a hat that I casted on with another sort of yarn base I was testing. And I've got quite a long way in this yarn, and I really like how these speckles have sort of come out. Again, this is actually a little bit pinker than it is on the camera. So there we go. This is going to be a Christmas present. I'm knitting. I'm not sure whether I should have perhaps knitted the rib a bit longer, but I got so excited about seeing how the speckles came out properly. I think you can always see speckles on stocking stitch better than you can if it's rib or anything. So that's why I wanted to do it in stocking stitch. Lots of sort of boring knitting here, but it has to be done if you want to test out how yarn comes out, I think. And this is a sort of, this is not a high twist really. Well, it's reasonably high twist. It doesn't actually split at all, which is lovely. And it's nice and soft, so I think that'll probably be my sort of standard merino base in my shop. I wasn't sure whether I needed to have a high twist and a standard sort of merino base, but I think I'm just going to have them both. I'll just have to buy lots more bases. So I had done quite a bit of work on my water lily jumper. Well, it's not really a jumper, it's like a short sleeve top. So I put a picture of this on Instagram, and the yarn is from Ginger Twist Studios, and it's in the Yakety Yak base, which has got yak, merino and silk in it. So 60% merino, 20% yak and 20% silk, and this is called Might As Well Be Spring colourway, and that's the Ginger Twist Studios card there. And I picked this up from Edinburgh. I think I might have said that on the last podcast. But I think that I could do with knitting it on a slightly tighter gauge. So this is the one, the swatch I used, this is which I decided to cast on with these needles, but I kind of think it is a little bit too sort of open. I had done one on a slightly tighter gauge, which is this one. I think, I can't remember what the gauge was now, I'll have to just check before I cast on again. This actually came up with a much sort of denser material, which I like better. And I analysed it when I actually did the swatches, but I've changed my mind. And all that knitting, that took me quite a few hours to do that, since there's quite a distance around my hips. And also it kind of made the decreases on the, because it's a sort of a loose knit, I think you could see the decreases on the sides a bit more. which I'll just show you now. I wasn't a fan of that, so I'm going to change my needle gauge. I also kept the same needle gauge as the garter stitch bit at the bottom, and I did think it might flip up, but I put this up on Instagram and somebody said that it doesn't actually flip up even if you give it a good block afterwards, so that would probably be alright. But I'm still not happy with the gauge of it, so rather than spending hours and hours knitting it and then changing my mind at the end, I'm going to rip this out. But I couldn't bear to rip it out straight away after I'd been knitting it, so I've just left it to show you guys, and then I'm going to rip it out and start again. So that's taken up quite a bit of my knitting time. What I'd done as well is I'd calculated some hip decreases, because the original pattern is just straight, so I just calculated to how to shape it to my hips a bit to try and make me look a bit slimmer. But I'll obviously have to do those calculations again with a different gauge. Hopefully my stitch count will work nicely with the lace pattern at the top once I've adapted it. So I'll tell you how I get on with that in the next episode, hopefully. Hopefully I'll have started it again. I have a few things that I need to start gift knitting as well. I have done a couple of pieces, but I've got quite a few things that I've got on my list for Christmas, so I need to get going on those. So it might have to wait a little while. So we're now on to the sewing section. So I'm really pleased with this piece. Barbara, come and show us. So this is my Cocoa dress, and this is Vitelli in the buttons. And I have made this pattern before, but I actually added darts at the bust and around the neck, so it fitted me a bit better. But actually I ended up just going with the size that sort of fitted with my upper bust measurement, and then increased to different sizes around the hips, and it fits really, really nicely. So I did the dress version with the 3/4 length sleeves with this like a turnover cuff, which I absolutely love. I'll definitely use that again. I added pockets, and I've done those so that the fabric stripes are going in the opposite direction, and I really like those. I wasn't sure whether they looked slightly childish placed at the front of the garment, but I think it gives a bit of interest because there's an awful lot of sort of plain striped fabric at the front here. The fabric is a lovely fabric from Fabrics Galore, but unfortunately I bought it last year and I don't think they have it in stock anymore. I think they might have some different colours in the same sort of fabric. It's a sort of thick double knit fabric, which the pattern suggests is good for this. So the pattern is, did I say it's from Tilly and the Buttons? I probably did. So I did the full length dress version, and I ended up taking up the hem at the bottom a couple more inches so that I could wear it more as a tunic than a dress, because I'm not really into wearing dresses in the day. It makes it much more wearable, and I just wore it with jeans to the Nottingham Yarn Expo, and I was really pleased, really, really comfy, and I'm definitely going to make some more of these again. I did find that there is a very slight gape when I'm actually wearing it around the neck, which I think means that I need to do the slightly smaller size just on the neck and on the shoulders here, but the rest of it fitted really nicely, and I don't think people are going to notice that there's a slight gape at the front, especially because I wear shawls most of the time on top of them. So there we go, there's my Cocoa. So this is the Springfield top that I didn't show you on the last episode because it was in the wash. So this is a cashmerette pattern, and it's got lovely sort of bust fitting for different sizes, so it fits larger busted ladies really well, and I'm really pleased with this. It's got a lovely drape to it, this fabric. I actually got this fabric from a friend that just didn't want it anymore, so I'm not actually sure what it is. I've got a feeling that it's some type of sort of rayon, because it's got some nice drape to it, so it's just interesting to see how the sort of drape looks different from the stiffer one that I showed in the last episode. I'm actually wearing that one now, so this comes quite a lot more stiff sort of feeling, but this is nice and drapey, but it works in both. So I just wanted to show you that because I didn't get to show you on the last episode. Again, I did the part at the back, I'd cut out 2 pieces of this so I could line it on the insides to cover up any seams, and I did them all in with French seams because I think that finishes it off nicely. So there we are. So on to some bobbin lace. So on the last episode I showed you that I was working on my butterfly, and I finished my butterfly. This is going to be reflecting a bit because it's in a frame. I finished my butterfly and it's here. I think it's pretty, it's not very neat just here where I had to work in a very tight area with lots of bobbins, and it goes reasonably well with the butterfly that I'd done previously. I've popped it on a blue background because it's difficult to find a colour that they both show up on well, but I think this blue is actually a little bit bright, but it's the only sort of felt I had that you could see all of the butterfly sort of stitches for the pinks and the grey as well. But I might have to change that because I'm not a fan of that bright blue colour, but we'll see. But but I've been using felt to mount them on just so that you don't have to stitch them in it. They kind of grab onto the felt, so I can frame it. So I've also, a little while ago, I showed you that I was making this doily in Bobbin Lace, and I framed that too. And again, I'm not really happy with this blue, but it was one that I had, you could actually see the Bobbin Lace work. I've fussy cut some fabric to go in the centre there, and just mounted it on top. And I picked this round frame up from eBay because I could not find any round frames anywhere. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that, although I'm going to change this blue in the background. I'll just give you a closer look. There we go. So that's my second bit of Bobbin Lace, and I've actually got a third bit of Bobbin Lace to show you. So as we're coming up to Christmas, I thought I'd make some Christmas decorations out of Bobbin Lace. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. So this is made with a gold sparkly thread. I'm not sure. I think if I put it behind a black background, you might be able to see a little bit better. There we go. So it's worked with a gold thicker thread over some white threads, and it's attached to a bangle, so that can be hung on the Christmas tree. And I've made a couple of those. Oops. And with some different bangles that I had. They're not very easy to see when it's not against a dark background. Hopefully I'll be able to see them on the Christmas tree. So that's my third bit of Bobbin Lace. And I'm hoping to do some more Christmas decorations on the run up to Christmas with the Bobbin Lace. So my blast from the past is next. I don't think I've shown this before. I'm hoping I haven't, because there's 28 different blasts from the past now. I should make a note. This is my little pincushion that I made from crochet. It's made from an acrylic white yarn, some cotton in a blue, and then some acrylic for making like a tea bag tag, which I think is really cute. And it's just plain around the other side. I have put some of these really cute tilde pins in the top because I love these little heart shapes. However, I don't find these very useful because they're such a thick pin. They're only really useful for sort of knitting and crochet pinning, which I don't do very often. But they look really pretty. I tend to use very fine pins. So there we are. Now it's my gadget. This gadget I use for free motion quilting, and it comes in a little roll like this, and it's basically a bit of Teflon sheeting with a hole in the middle, and what it's for is that you put this over your stitch plate, and this is where your needle will go through it, just so that it makes it easier to move fabric when you're doing your free motion. There is a bit of card on, not card, some paper on the back, just so that it kind of keeps it nice and stable when I'm storing it. But this has got like a, it's not tacky, but it's like a grippy surface which grips onto your machine, so that you can sort of free motion a bit easier. But I find it very useful. I got this from a shop called Par's Real Ruler, which I'll pop on the screen so you can see how it's spelt. And I found that this is a lot cheaper than you can get them anywhere else. So if you are into free motion quilting, one of these is very, very useful. That company also do ruler foots and rulers for free motion quilting as well. So, on to my confessions. Oh dear. Oh dear, if you guys really aren't interested in confessions, there's a lot of yarn in this one. So you may want to skip along a bit. I'll try and go through it as quickly as possible. So we went to Nottingham Yarn Expo at the weekend and I bought, see, I didn't mean to buy anything. Oh dear. What shall I start with? Right, first of all I went to the Nora George stall and I bought, I'd seen this and I thought I need some of this. And this is her Christmas colourway called Hollyberry, and it's very, very pretty. There's different shades of green and pink in there. So this is what I went in and picked up and I thought, that's it. That's all I'm going to buy from there. I might have some more Nora George later because somehow I got back to the stall. I then thought I need more Christmas yarn, and I'd been looking at this on Instagram. Lots of other people had bought some. So I picked this up from it. The Loveliest Yarn Company, I think it's called, and it came with a lovely candy cane too, so that was really cute. How nice is that? So they're going to be some Christmas socks. I'm trying to do this in the order where I bought what I bought. I bought a lovely mini skein, but there wasn't a label on it. I think it was from the Sheepest. No, I'll try and look it up and I'll put the name of the shop on here for you. There we go. So that's really pretty. It's got some lovely black and pink speckles in there, which I saw from a distance and I had to have. So I thought, well, I'll just get a few mini skeins. They'll be good. So I popped to the West Green Loft Yarn stall and I picked up 2 lovely little minis as well. So I didn't buy any more full skeins from her because I also have a full skein and a packet of minis that I bought at the last show for Fibre East and I haven't used those yet. So I just thought I'll pick a couple of minis up and I can put them in my Cozy Memories blanket. So I was being good. And then I went to, I know that I wanted to get some more yarn from Amy at Stranded Dye Works. And I thought, I was looking at her watercolour, I think it's Naive Watercolour. And I thought, actually, I'm going to go for a different colour because I always go for blues. So I went for this. It's Legless Flamingo. And this is lovely. So this is in her sort of standard sock yarn base that isn't high twist. And she calls this the Oasis base. And I really like the way that there's different shades of this sort of coral colour. So she also does a flamingo legs. Yeah, flamingo legs. It's got black speckles in. But I preferred this one. It's nice and bright. So I'm really chuffed I got that. I wish I'd kind of got one of her sock blanks as well, but I can always do an order online, so it's fine. Mind you, I don't need any more yarn, and I've bought loads of more yarn here. I was walking around the stores and I popped to this lovely shop, and it's called the Lovely Little Wool Shop. And this is located in the area of sort of Nottingham, and this lovely lady called Sarah I was chatting to, and she said that she watched my podcast, so that was really lovely. So we had a little chat, and then I was looking at the West Yorkshire spinners for a bit long. So I had to pick up a couple of balls of these. So this is the this is DK weight. I'm holding these upside down. I can't think what this is called actually. They never write what the names of the colourways are called. But there's a number on the back. I'll show you what the number is, and then you can have a look on the website if you're interested. But this is 100% wool, and I did intend to knit socks with it. But for some reason I assumed that it's the same as the Signature 4-ply, but it isn't. It hasn't got nylon in it. But I think it might be okay for socks. I'll just give it a go, because it is a lovely wool, and Adam really wants some DK socks because he gets the coldest feet. And then I was looking, this is the only thing that I really needed, was a shawl pin. Basically for my doodler shawl, because it doesn't lay, you can't really wear it very well with the waves lighting at the front. So I thought, well, if I get a shawl pin, I can wear it. And this is the shawl pin that I bought, and it's so pretty. I thought that would be really lovely to pin up. And the shop that I got it from, I'm going to take it out of the bag because it's going to be shiny and you won't be able to read it otherwise, from Textile Garden, and they had some gorgeous buttons as well, which I didn't actually buy any because I thought I don't actually have a project planned where I need buttons like at the moment, and I have yarn to match up with me, so I couldn't just buy random things. And also I needed to make sure I bought the right size buttons rather than just buying all the pretty ones. It was an important purchase. But then I just give in. I gave in to the yarn. I just popped to the Nora George stall again just to have another quick look at the minis. And I picked this mini up, which was lovely. This is Santa Baby by Nora George, and it's got some lovely pink in there. I basically bought it because it was called Santa Baby. I could not leave it behind because we were into Christmas yarn. And then I went a bit crazy. I bought these. Actually, I have a purpose for this one. This is the fur colourway by Nora George, and I'm going to knit the Christmas socks called the Evergreen socks that I'd mentioned on a previous podcast with that. So that'll be really nice. So there is a purpose for this. But then I saw these and I was like, oh, I need them. They're gorgeous. I think it was this one I'd seen on previous updates, and there wasn't a full skein of this, but there was a mini in this set, so I thought I have to have this. It's called Toffee Apple. I think I'd seen it on Inside Number 23's podcast, Katie's podcast, where she'd had a big skein of this she knitted some socks with. I love this yarn. I should have just waited and bought a whole skein, but all these other minis are so lovely too. Hard to resist. So the whole set has got Stranded Hedgehog, Tea Time, Toffee Apple, December and Atelier. I can't pronounce it. I don't know what that means. So I got those. So I'm so naughty. So somebody who went to Nottingham Yarn Expo without needing any yarn has bought a massive pile. Oh dear. I think that's all I bought. Oh, I did buy one extra thing as well. A little Nora George pin badge, because she had them for sale on the desk too. So I got one of those. So that wasn't too bad, at least. I nearly bought some Sucra miniatures from Nora George as well, but I'd already gone crazy with buying all those other ones. And I was stopping myself from buying yarn all the way around, but because I'd already got this Toffee Apple in my head, I just thought, I need it. Right, so that's confessions over with. Hello, you might notice that we've got a slightly different setup because my camera's decided not to work. So now I'm on the iPad, so I'm trying my best to look straight at you, but it's really difficult on the iPad. So we've got the Ask Me Anything questions, so I'm going to answer 3 of them today. I've still got 2 other ones that are on the Ravelry board, but I'll get to them on the next episode. So the first of which is from Emma from Eldenwood Craft, and she says, which hand knits do I find myself wearing the most? Which are my favourites to wear, and which are the ones I don't wear? Right, I tend to wear things because they match colours to the rest of my outfit, I think, really. This one I tend to wear quite a lot because bright pink goes with a lot of my clothes. I wear a lot of teal, I suppose, and this goes nicely with it. This shawl is called the Antarctic shawl, and it's by Janina Callio, and I made this quite a while ago. But it's quite a small one skein shawl, quite a nice simple sort of eyelet pattern. So it's quite useful for a lot of the year because it's not too heavy weight, you know. And it goes nicely with a nice teal or navy blue. So this is one of my favourites. I think my favourites and the ones I wear the most tend to be the same ones. I think the ones I've least worn is probably my doodler because it's so difficult to wear without a pin, and I've only just bought a pin, so I'm hopefully going to be wearing that a lot more now. But it does depend basically on what colours go with my outfit. So I think that as from now on I really need to think about what colours I wear and what will go with my wardrobe rather than thinking, ooh, pretty yarn. I tend to wear my Diana the Light shawl a lot. That's by Ruth at Knitterarium, and that was out of some yarn that I'd got from fondant fibre, and it was a lovely sort of silk merino blend, and that's like a grey and a bit of pink in it, so that tends to go with a lot of things. So I think anything that sort of goes with lots of things like greys and pinks for me, I pretty much wear all of my shawls really. I don't tend to wear, actually, I've got one of my shawls is quite a small one, so that's more difficult to wear as well. I knitted quite a long time ago, and I don't wear that so much because it's more difficult to wrap around my neck. I think that's the main issue. Anything that's sort of long and can just wrap around my neck easily is something I wear a lot. But now I've got a shawl pin, I should be able to wear it more. So thanks for that question, Emma. That's brilliant. So question 2 is from Viv. And that's Vivi Knits on Ravelry. And she says, how do I decide which skeins of yarn to hang on the hooks behind me? That's a good question. I don't know. I think I tend to pick, I think this is really pretty, and put it up there. And then once I've used one, I tend to just grab a really lovely pretty one as well, and just there to have a look at, really. Bit of yarn porn. So my third question is from Lisa, who's from Canada, who's aspiring happy on Ravelry. She wanted me to explain the different types of yarn that are good for different purposes, namely sock yarn. So when you're looking for a sock yarn that you want to be durable, you want there to be a good nylon content in there. So normally it's normally between 15 and 25%. So the higher the nylon content, the more durable your yarn will be. So you can get different mixes like merino or BFL with that nylon. The more durable yarns will be something like BFL, the less sort of soft yarns. But if you're wanting to just have a sock that doesn't need to be so durable, you can get away with softer yarns or the lower nylon content. So it depends what you want it for, really. So you can also choose yarns specifically for things like colour work. So if you're looking for yarns that would be good for colour work, they say it's best to have a woolen spun yarn, which is sort of more plump. There's also yarns that are better for cables, and normally ones with high twist. It's good to try and think about what sort of yarn you're using for a project, but sometimes you can just ignore these things. As long as you're aware of it, that's fine. You don't have to be completely strict about it. So we've got some footage that I'm going to show at the end of the podcast of the Nottingham Yarn Expo that I went to on Saturday. It was a really, really lovely show. Everything was nicely spaced out, so there was plenty of room to chat to people and walk around. There was some lovely music playing, which was really lovely too. And there were so many wonderful yarn stalls there. Really, really nice, really worth going to. And I spent so much time chatting to lovely people. So thank you so much for introducing yourselves, if you did come and say hello. I've got a couple of pictures of some people that I remembered to actually take photos of. I didn't remember to take photos of everybody, but thank you so much for coming and saying hello if you did. And I really enjoyed it, so I'll be definitely going to that one next year if I can. I've got some video footage at the end. I'm just going to quickly go through some of the bags that I'll have in my shop update this evening. So it's the 16th of November, so if you're watching this later than that, things should have already gone in at 7 o'clock. So hopefully this will be uploaded before that time. If not, I'll put some things on Instagram to warn you to say that I'm having a shop update anyway. I've been normally having a shop update on the 1st of every month, but I thought because we're coming up to Christmas, it'd be nice to have a second shop update as well. I've got some exciting things to show you. So I've got some more of my sort of heart and butterfly bags that I've done in the drawstring. So they've got matching applique on the front and then lining the same inside with a little pocket. And I've got some different fabrics that I've used. That's one of my favourites. Some pink. This one I didn't have enough to do the matching pocket, but the pocket matches the outside fabric. And this one is just a lovely pink and floral. I've got some butterfly themed bags. This one's got some free motion stitching around the edge. These come with some notions pouches inside as well, so they come in the little sets for Christmas. I've got a couple of other ones in some pinks and blue fabrics, and I've got some new batik fabric which is rather lovely, and I've lined it with Egyptian cotton with a pocket inside, and this one comes with a DPN case and a notions pouch. I really like this new sort of short and stubby little notions pouch because it's quite handy to grab hold of things, and they come with some stitch markers as well which match the leaves on the outside. I've got a new big Christmas bag, Merry Christmas bag, and this one's got a lovely star lining, and this will take about 5 or 6 skeins of 100 grams yarn. And finally, I've got this really exciting thing that I've been working on. So this is my new sort of Christmas bag, and it's got free motion stitched arms and eyes and nose, and then I've done some applique. This is made of a nice soft fleece, and then I've done some applique cotton for the scarf, and then added some little snowflakes on there. Aren't they cute? So I'm really pleased about that. So on the back I've done the Craft House Magic in free motion, and this fabric is absolutely gorgeous. It's so shiny and beautiful. So these will be in my shop in the update too, and I've done a lovely sort of blue lining there, and it goes so well with the outside fabric, so I'm really pleased about those. So there'll be 6 in the shop tonight, and I may be able to put some in the next update on the 1st of December, but I'm not sure whether I can get hold of any more of this blue sparkly fabric. But there we go, and you can see that I've free motioned a little robin on there as well, which I thought was really cute. I like stitching really small things. So there we go. It comes with a little snowflake as well on the little key, on the chain, on the keychain, on the zip. So there we are. I've got to rush because I can only record 3-minute segments on my iPad. So thank you so much for watching and sticking with me even though I've changed camera. And I shall see you in the next episode. Bye!